Ladies and gentlemen, hey, hi, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for stopping by. Coming up here in the next few days, we're obviously going to see our next major update for Black Ops 6 and Warzone, otherwise known as Season 1 Reloaded. And this year with Season 1, and specifically with Season 1 Reloaded, things are changing a little bit in a way that, in theory, should be very, very good for Call of Duty. Now, in execution, will it be? That's to be seen. Of course, a lot of the updates this year have been very problematic, very buggy, particularly Season 1 that caused a lot of issues, but hopefully Season 1 Reloaded can be a bit more of a smooth update and actually attack a major problem that Call of Duty's been experiencing year over year every time we see these significant updates towards the holidays. So, of course, with Season 1 Reloaded this year, it's dropping on December 5th in just a couple of days time, which actually by comparison is much earlier than in years past, which is definitely interesting, and I think they're doing it specifically for a reason that I want to break down here. But just to show off some of the interesting shifts that Call of Duty has already done this year, I went back and researched all of the Season 1 and Season 1 Reloaded update times from the previous few years ever since we started seeing Warzone integrations, because obviously the integration updates have always been pretty problematic, and then we get to the holidays and things get even worse when the devs are out of office and aren't fixing some of the major problems that these updates cause. So obviously dating back to Cold War, this is the first time that we had a Warzone integration, and Cold War Season 1 dropped on December 14th. Obviously, like a week later, we're on a holiday break. All the devs are out of office for the holidays, for Christmas and New Year's, and nothing really got done. That's why we had WARZONE back on Verdansk running wild, just breaking the game entirely. And then Cold War Season 1 Reloaded didn't happen until January 14th. So basically a month later, where the game was just in a terrible state in terms of balance. It was playable, but unless you were using a DMR and using an aimbot, you were getting DMR'd by an aimbot, right? Then Vanguard came around, and Vanguard Season 1 dropped on December 8th. So a little bit earlier, but still pretty close to the holidays. And that was just the straight up Season 1 update and the full on integration, which also was incredibly broken. You may recall the game had so many bugs on console. Graphically, it was basically unplayable on Xbox for almost 2 seasons. Like, it was another very rough experience. And then Season 1 Reloaded dropped again about a month later on January 13th. Then we shift into the Warzone 2 era, new and improved, quote unquote, right? This should make everything much smoother, and they actually went and attacked some of these concerns by making these updates happen earlier. So Modern Warfare 2 Season 1 dropped on November 16th with the full integration to avoid having a similar situation where things were just wildly broken for the entire end of the year, right? And then instead, Modern Warfare 2 Season 1 Reloaded dropped on December 14th. Now, funny enough, this actually was not all that problematic. It definitely was not like the previous years where the game was unplayable with Vanguard, WARZONE was breaking the game with Cold War. They put these updates out earlier, November 16th for the integration, the 14th of December for the Reloaded update. But the problem was, the game just wasn't that fun. The movement sucked. The gunfights felt weird. Like, it just wasn't that enjoyable. It fell off a cliff, obviously, in terms of player count for a reason. So even though the update was smooth, the gameplay was not, just from a design standpoint. So a weird sort of asterisk there, where not a broken update, not a broken, integration, just not a well-received one. And then we get to Modern Warfare 3 last year, and they actually shift it back a little bit again. So Season 1 of the integration drops on December 6th. Still early, but not super early like what we had with MW2. Just a couple of weeks before the holidays this time, and unfortunately, even with that barrier there were still a lot of issues with the integration update. Urzikstan was fine, but there were still major balance issues. The Interceptor and the Swarm and various other weapons were way too overpowered. It was kind of like a DMR Zone 2.0. There were still some weird bugs and glitches going on with MW2 content, so was not the smoothest thing. And then it wasn't until after New Year's where Season 1 Reloaded dropped on January 17th. Then we get to Black Ops 6 this year with the earliest integration update yet. Season 1 drops on November 14th. We've got Black Ops 6 Warzone available to us now, and as we know, it is chaos because it's kind of a mess. There are bugs and glitches galore. The gameplay is kind of hit or miss. Some people enjoy the movement and the gunfights and the gunplay. Other players don't. That's always up to interpretation. That's subjective every year with all these integrations, but objectively, the game is very buggy. buggy and very glitchy. And now, for the first time, we have Season 1 Reloaded dropping the first week of December, December 5th. Meaning we now have a couple of weeks left before the devs are out of office and out for holiday break to get the game stable, to get the game in order. Now, hopefully this is done with pure intent of avoiding a repeat scenario that we've seen with 3 out of the last 4 years, essentially, where the game is a disaster and in a terrible state for the 2 weeks or so that the devs are out for the holidays, where just so happens their player base numbers are probably going to spike up quite a bit because everyone's off school, everyone's off work, they're playing the new Call of Duty. It needs to be in a good state if they want to retain those players, obviously, and not see a huge drop off either early into them being out of office and unable to fix the game, or shortly thereafter where everyone plays it for 2 weeks and is like, yeah, you know, I was off, so I played it, but I think I'm okay now with how broken and how buggy it is, right? So hopefully this is done with that direct intent to counter that. Season 1 Reloaded, in theory, should attack a lot of the issues that Warzone and BO6 have had up until this point, particularly caused by Season 1. It being a significant title update, content included, it's going to have a lengthy list of patch notes that, of course, we're going to be covering right as they drop, so stay tuned for that alongside everything else going on in COD. By hitting that subscribe button, turning on those post notifications gets us one step closer to 1 million subscribers as well. Also, if you enjoy this video while you're at it, a like would be seriously appreciated, but this should hopefully allow for plenty of time to, one, get issues sorted out from the integration update and from Season 1 with the actual Reloaded update itself, but then also have a bit of a buffer period, you know, those couple of weeks there after Season 1 Reloaded drops and before they go on that holiday break to sort out whatever Season 1 Reloaded will inevitably end up breaking and the new glitches and bugs that'll add to the game, so that we do have a true playable, comfortable and stable game during that holiday break and the end of the year. That would be a, you know, first time in some time where the gameplay is both good and then also stable. And I think this is something that has actually bothered them with all these integration updates previously, because it's the same cycle. They do stuff to prepare for it, and then it still ends up being a mess. So in and of itself, these updates being much earlier than in years past should mean the game is much more stable. This should be great news, just, you know, across the board for multiplayer, for zombies, for Warzone especially. This should help out a lot. Keyword being should. Now that said, while this update brings good news in the idea of it being super early and countering these problems of the past, there is one thing I'm a little bit concerned with, and that's what's next. This update being so early would probably make you think that, well, Season 2 is probably going to drop super early as well, right? Well, not necessarily, because according to the Battle Pass countdown timer in-game, Season 1 ends all the way on January 28th. So essentially, we're going to have almost a month and a half time after Season 1 Reloaded before our next significant content and major update. Now, we'll still end up seeing, you know, I would imagine after they're all back from break, and definitely in the days and weeks prior to them going on break, we're still going to see updates and patch notes go out to fix different bugs and glitches, maybe to buff and nerf different weapons and whatnot. But we may not see all that much in terms of content or refreshes to the gameplay loop to keep things feeling fun and fresh there. There have been various different leaks and rumors about a potential like third update for the season, like a second mid-season update almost, if you will, potentially happening in early January. Maybe some leaks that surface with the Season 1 Reloaded update will give us more details on that, so that's something to look out for. But that could be a longer period where we just don't really have anything going on in game, which might not also be the best approach. So that is one bit of a concern that I have with all this, despite the fact that otherwise it is seemingly good news that they're attacking a lot of this much earlier than in years past. So hopefully, cross our fingers, things go smoothly this year. Obviously, if they do, we'll be able to focus a ton on gameplay and put out some really fun content in terms of best weapons, all the things that the update changes affect, and how to optimize and you know, have the best experience possible there. And if it breaks things, I'm sure we'll be covering patch notes every other day like we have been for the past couple of weeks, right? Regardless, this is the best place to be to stay up to date with everything going on in COD, whether it is news, updates, patch notes, meta breakdowns, everything like that is here on a daily basis. So feel free to subscribe to stay up to date. And if you enjoyed the video, a like on your way out would be really appreciated. But once again, thank you so much for tuning in. And until next time, take it easy, have an awesome rest of your day, and I'll catch you later. Peace out.